It is late in the Second Era, a time of war, as the empire of Tiber Septim sweeps through the kingdoms of Tamriel in a glorious bid for conquest. Septim is opposed on all sides, but never more fiercely than by Hammerfell, the ancestral home of the Redguards. The High King of Hammerfell, Thasard II, resists the imperial invasions even as he sees other kingdoms crumble, until at last, without warning and surprisingly devoid of court treachery, death takes its full measure. With its High King dead, Hammerfell is crippled, plunging into a bloody civil war between the crowns, fighting for their homeland's continued sovereignty, and the forebears, who have finally accepted the Emperor's rule. The crowns, led by the heir to Thasard, Prince Ator, are continually victorious, spilling the blood of the forebears across Hammerfell's sands. From his seat of power in the port city of Stros, Prince Ator slowly reunites his father's unraveled kingdom. Feeling their impending defeat, the forebears sign a pact with the Emperor, allowing him to bring his armies in, crush the crowns, and rule Hammerfell as his own. Tiber Septim's armies prove too much for the proud Redguard crowns. Tiber Septim sends his best commander, Lord Richten, to Stros to close the grip on Prince Ator and the crowns. The prince rallies his forces for one last stand. Knowing that Hammerfell's sovereignty is at stake, the crown forces match the might of the empire, meeting them in the harbor of Stros for the final battle. The fighting is fierce. Lord Richten, having seen the prince's victories at sea before, decides to bring his last resource to the fore. The dragon, Nathalilagus, proud jewel of the imperial crown. Ator commands his archers to ready their weapons, but is struck down himself by Richten's assassin, felled by an arrow whose poison spreads too fast. Ator's wizard attempts to save the prince, but the dragon ends his magic and the crown's hope for victory in a single fiery breath. Having conquered the crowns, the Emperor's forces claim rule over all of Hammerfell. Imperial garrisons are stationed at every city, and Richten himself is named provisional governor of Stros. Months pass. The Redguards of Hammerfell, both crown and forebear, learn to live under the new imperial rule, and Tiber Septim extends his reach into the rest of Tamriel. It is only through fate that any of this will come to concern our hero, Cyrus, a Redguard who long ago left Hammerfell to wander the borderlands of the Empire.
Krimje, Cyrus, eto forwakacher okodor.
Let's make this short, Sarathra. I've got work to do.
Balizi hataratatami. Sicho.
I leave with Duardin's men in an hour.
Renrigi intnor. Oko o imperial ja. Iko po fam rotot velk.
You should know you got me the job.
Tragir. Sratra kol kotero to Hammerfell. Boshe in rot.
The seal is broken.
Sratra warrega.
Yeah, I bet you were.
No kodwadin. Sratra X. Sratra X Kyle.
Isara.
Rolita dek kaudor.
I need a ship.
To board the koi Sratra Nakovik Warabarashi.
Money, too.
Sridwadin ja epakoja srik. Pur Sratra kadoeliter beko.
We haven't spoken in 10 years. There was trouble.
Kakatar.
I killed her husband.
Hammerfell's prodigal son, Cyrus, returns to the province of his birth. He buys passage to the island of Stros in the hopes of rescuing his sister, is up.
Get below is what the pilot said to the wet-eared knaves before him.
The Restless League is claiming this cargo,
Said the other with cruel clarity.
Probably wouldn't make a difference if I told you I had no time for this.
This is about Redguard armor, boy. Stand aside.
Yes, a doubtful notion it is. Piracy and politics. But there you have it.
Never been much for politics. In my day, piracy was honest work.
Don't be a hero, boy.
Where's the money in that?
And yea, verily, by his bravery they were impressed for a scant few seconds. No! He thinks to him, we could use a swordsman like you.
Look.
No! He thinks to himself, I'm overmatched here, obviously. No! He thinks to himself, I'm overmatched here.
Cyrus!
Captain, good to see you back in command.
Please call me Brennan. You disposed of those ruffians so quickly, I had no time to retrieve my sword from my cabin.
That's so,
Look, over there. Let us move on before more show up.
I hope this letter finds your hands, friend. My latest travels have brought me to Stros, and no one here has seen your sister for 3 months. I fear the worst. I feel obligated to stay for a few weeks. I'll be at the Dragon Tail Inn should you return. Tobias.
Cyrus, and how do you do?
Brennan, can I have a minute?
Anything for your like, Cyrus?
How has Stros fared under its new Imperial masters?
The locals are still chafing at the bit, but in time, they will come to appreciate the benefits of membership in the Empire.
That's so, The pirates who attacked us spoke of a Restless League. Have you heard of them?
Other captains tell me the remaining banditti have organized themselves against the Empire's crackdown on smuggling and piracy.
I am looking for my sister Isara. Perhaps you have heard of her.
I'm afraid not. Before the Empire cleaned things up, Stros was a pirate haven, avoided by honest merchants like myself.
It seems the Empire has not eliminated all the pirates from Stros.
Apparently so. They've become bold, attacking a ship so far into Hunting Bay. But give it time. The Empire has only been here a few months.
The Empire has done well in its conquest of Hammerfell, you think?
Absolutely. No offense, but Hammerfell is in need of some law and order.
I am meeting a friend at the Dragon Tail. Can you direct me?
I can't recommend it, but it's the only drink hole in this godforsaken town. Up the bridge, you see to the right, through the gate to the town square. You will see the sign.
Thanks. We'll talk later.
Well? Lad?
One moment.
Go about your business, Redguard.
Ahoy there, sailor. Can I have a word with you? Greetings, stranger.
What can I do for you, friend?
The question is, what can I do for you? The young stranger in town, fearless, footloose, and fancy-free, a little light of purse, perhaps? I have a proposition that may appeal, but first allow me to introduce myself. Kataro, contractor of Stros Mackay, at your service.
Cyrus. Charmed. I wonder if you know my sister, Isara. I've come to Stros Mackay to find out what's happened to her.
I'm afraid I don't know her. I'm just a simple working man. You might try Dreekius up at the Dragon Tail. Pretty much everyone in Stros Mackay passes through his door eventually.
What do you know about a group of ruffians calling themselves the Restless League?
Damn them and their bloody-minded ways. They've done more to ruin Stros Mackay than the Four Bears and Empire combined. If it weren't for them, this city would have been at peace months ago.
I haven't been in Hammerfell since before the war. How do you like being a citizen of the Empire?
Sure beats war, my young friend. I won't lie to you, though. Hard to find honest labor these days. Four Bears would rather smirk than lift, and the Crowns don't have the back for it anymore.
Sounds like the Crowns are taking their defeat pretty hard.
Yeah, I've always stayed out of politics. Bad for business. Crown, Four Bear, I don't care. As long as their coin is true. My philosophy is, what's done is done. Live and let live. The grass is always greener, you know?
I guess the Four Bears are still savoring victory in the Civil War, eh?
Yeah, you could say that, although you might not want to say it in their faces. They're a touchy lot these days.
I've been up north for years, but I was pretty sure the Four Bears won the war.
Of course they did. And the Four Bears like to bust up the Dragon Tail just in case anyone doubts it. Some ungenerous Crowns like to point out the Imperial flags flying all over the palace and the Imperial soldiers patrolling the streets. None of my concern, though. You know what I mean?
I'm supposed to meet a friend at the Dragon Tail. Can you direct me?
It's the only watering hole in town. Follow the ramps uphill to the town square. Bit of friendly advice, watch your step. The Four Bears are a touchy lot these days.
You call yourself a contractor. What does that mean?
Over here we have someone who needs something done. Over there we have someone who's looking for work. How do they find each other? That's where I come in.
How is the Restless League responsible for ruining Stros Mackay?
Burning or plundering half the cargoes headed for this port, stirring up the Imperials to ever more ruthless repression. The League doesn't seem to realize that the war is over, and they lost.
You're saying the League was allied with the Crowns?
That depends on who you ask. I don't know. I'm not one of your political gentlemen, always in someone else's business. I'm just a poor working stiff. A bird in the hand is better, you know what they say.
Tell me about this job you have for me.
A simple task. Pick up an amulet from the Gasta and deliver it to the governor's palace. Well, to be honest, I've been having trouble finding someone to take the job. but I'm sure a robust lad such as yourself pays no attention to silly local superstitions. Are you interested?
I'm considering. I have a few more questions first.
Ask away, my good Cyrus. I have nothing to hide.
Augusta?
Yeah, a harmless old hermit. The more superstitious of my fellow citizens repeat silly rumors about him, but I put no stock in their tales. He lives in the old wizard's tower, just far of the shoals on the northwest side of the island.
Any idea what's so important about this amulet?
That's between the Gasta and the governor. I just get paid to find the delivery man.
How much are you offering for this job?
Like I said, I've been having trouble hiring for this job, so I'm upping the rate a bit. 100 up front and 200 more after completion.
That's pretty high for a simple delivery. What's the catch?
The pay's proportional to the danger. Nagasta's tower isn't exactly on the main road, you know? So you may have a little trouble getting there. Nothing that you can't handle, I'm sure.
Where can I find the governor's palace?
Straight at the top of the hill. You can't miss it. The grandest structure in Stros, maybe in all of Hammerfell. Quite the tourist attraction before the late unpleasantness.
What superstitions do the locals harbor about this Nagasta?
Oh, you know, they call him a necromancer, prattle about him stealing people's souls, armies of undead, you know, that sort of thing. Nothing a well-armed fellow like yourself would worry about.
Trikias?
A friendly local lizard. Not that I have anything against him, or her, or whatever. Can't ever tell with those Argonians. Runs the Dragon Tail, the tavern on the town square.
We'll talk later.
Cyrus! You made it! Come here, lad.
Oh, you look good. It's been too long.
If you hadn't retired...
Mercenary life's younger men's work.
Bah, he said.
I prayed that you would get my letter.
It is lucky you were here, Tobias, or I wouldn't have known Isara was in trouble. I have not been in Hammerfell since
I know, lad, what you mean.
Anyway, Stros has no one who could have reached me. Thank you.
I sent the letter some weeks ago, Cyrus. I fear things have gotten worse for your sister since.
How did you know where to reach me, Tobias? Our paths parted so long ago.
I didn't send it to you directly. I knew that damn cat was probably still getting you into trouble, even to this day. Srathra seemed the likely solution, and through the channels I'd heard, he'd made Wayrest his port of late.
Now, he's moved from the throne seekers of the old empire to the lesser lords of High Rock, still playing them to his benefit, raking in the gold on all fronts.
I thought that Septim had solidified the Britons.
As much as the Witchmen will. But there is still a lot of money to be made in the drawing of borders before the provincial laws dry completely. Mercenaries are in great demand right now, as are fixers like our cat friend.
Does he still stink so?
To hear.
I think I will go see him when I leave. It's been too long.
How do you mean worse? What more do you know about Isara?
Nothing more than my letter has described, that she is gone and no one knows where. Just a bad feeling that's grown worse with the wait. The governor has not been merciful with the crowns that survived the battle. I hear his dragon's belly is full of the overloud, and that many died later in the burning of the old quarter.
What happened to the old quarter?
The crowns fled ashore there after the battle. It was their last stand. The governor sent his dragon, and it was done.
Was Isara there?
That section of town is closed off. No one I've talked to knows if she was there or not.
Where's the dragon now?
It's disappeared too. Some say it has returned to the imperial province. Others say the governor keeps it well paid and fed in the catacombs below the palace.
Is there another way into the catacombs?
There is the traditional way.
Imagine that I laughed. Secret entrance, maybe?
Maybe. I don't know.
Who in this town knew of Isara?
I did not question many for fear of ill allegiance. So I went to the temple to ask of her. For the brothers of RK are neutral in mortal affairs. There, Brother Niddle told me that Isara had vanished and set me on the road of writing you. Also, Dreekius here knew that she was missing too.
What can you tell me about Isara?
She frequented this establishment much before the battle in Hunding Bay. Less after, of course.
Of course?
She was a fervent one, your nestling, who hated the Empire not in hushed tones. After the occupation, she disappeared for a while.
She disappeared 3 months ago.
No, I'm talking about before that, right after the battle. Many crowns had scattered in the wake then, hiding where they could. I didn't see her for several days following. But then she showed up, needing a drink and rambling, tense on some decision.
What then?
The Imperials came and I let her out through the back. I haven't seen her since.
So the priests are still safe from being conquered?
Be that as it may, the temple is quite empty of priests, save for Brother Niddle. It seems some of their ranks have disappeared also.
I'm noticing a theme. Where did you hear that?
Niddle told me Brother Cathral vanished around the same time as your sister, and that they knew each other.
So I can count Brother Niddle as an ally then?
On my word, he was most helpful, but he seemed to be holding something back.
I wouldn't consider paranoia a bad character trait in Stros Mackay these days. Besides, you're so ugly.
That was it. He may open up to you more, being Isara's brother and half as hard to look at.
Tell me about the temple.
The head priest, a Brother Niddle, was very helpful in regards to Isara. He seemed to know her well and shared my concern over her disappearance. He is worth an interview.
I think I saw it across the plaza. What is the Restless League, Captain?
Where did you hear that name?
They attacked the ship that gave me passage.
Speak of it but in a whisper, and not too often. The governor is searching the surrounding waters for them, and will see them broken and piked if he has his way. The League has survived the death of the Crown Prince and resists his enemies still. But they are few, and going fewer from what I hear, and have been reduced to brigandry these days. Not far from the lives we led not too long ago, eh?
Bold are these brigands, the Restless League, to attack a ship in the very harbor.
They must be running low on provisions to act so desperately. They have been ghosts of late, and this appearance is their first since I've been here.
How do you know about them then?
They ran the Iliac before the war. Our lanes have crossed.
But after the occupation, they've stayed relatively scarce.
Yes, which is why their attack on you is so troubling. No one knew of your impending arrival?
Nobody but Sarathra. Would it matter?
I'm not sure.
We were never brigands when I served under you, Captain. Only mercenaries.
Tell that to those on the other end of the sword, lad. You see more of yourself in the men of the Restless League than you'd care to admit, I'd wager.
They're knaves with their eyes on Providence, nothing more. My sword's never been dressed for diplomacy. Give me gold for a throat, the throat for a slight, and I'm well. Give me a well-paying war.
War is the continuation of politics. That's it, right?
You quote Hunding like a Redguard, Tobias.
Political power grows along the blade of a sword.
Okay.
A drink to the Redguards. I see you still remember your childhood heroes, even if you've dismissed the homeland.
Hunding is a universal wellspring.
Be resolute, fear no sacrifice, and surmount every difficulty to win victory.
See? Anyone could admire that.
Tell me that your Redguard heart didn't buckle when you saw his statue at port.
Frandar Hunding is a great hero to Hammerfell, I'll admit, and even a little to myself. Hail the great founder and all that nonsense. But it's an ill plan to try and trigger the homeland tug through the invocation of Hunding, Tobias.
Really?
Don't forget he left his homeland too, and never looked back.
That's because it fell into the sea, you dolt.
What brought you to Stros Mackay?
War and the rumors of war. Every merchant that's near and seaworthy has come to Stros Mackay in the wake of recent events. Either in the service of the provisional governor or to fill the sea lines that Septim has shattered, and that the crowns can run no more. I thought I might profit from a visit, but it has brought naught but sorrow and the sign of darker days. I fear I shall be leaving none too soon.
Since when were you a merchant, Tobias?
The fight left me after our little foray into Morrowind. It's been sweet commerce ever since.
You are leaving, Captain? When and wherefore?
At sunset, if all goes well, and as for where, whither I will. Stros Mackay is not for me.
But I thought you might help me.
The Imperials have been asking about yours truly around the docks lately. I fear my inquiries into Isara's disappearance have interested them in all the wrong ways. I will help you as I can through the course of this day, but after that I must be done with it. I'm too old for an Imperial prison.
It won't come to that.
You haven't been here long enough. My ship is ready to leave at sundown, but don't worry. I'll be here until then to help you along if you need it. A lot can transpire in a day. We will see each other again.
I've not returned to Morrowind since then.
Who'd want to? All that ash and fire. Those dark elves can keep their curse.
Don't forget the bugs.
Which reminds me, Governor Richten has a little sting of his own from those parts. His lieutenant is a dark elf. Watch out for that one. Always close by the governor, hiding in his shadow.
Which means he's got plenty of room to maneuver.
I'd welcome another chance at the Dark Elves. I've still got scars.
Watch yourself.
Is it safe to talk here?
As safe as any, and the ale is good. Dreekius can be trusted as much as any walking lizard can be. It might get a little rough with all the forebears around, but I'll be here until I leave Stros Mackay.
The barkeep is a long way from Black Marsh, isn't he?
That's right, and it's kept me good company in my wait for you. Trust it well after I leave, for it knows this island and all who live here. But don't bother asking about the eye, because I already have.
Treekeus knows of the Eye of Argonia?
It's got the skin for it, wouldn't you say? I'll find the thing yet, and before you, if I get my way.
Another soft skin with dreams of the priceless king's jewel of ancient Black Marsh. You look this sort too, all sword and swagger. Tobias, he describes you well.
Aye, but Cyrus here must save that adventure for another day. He's got a sister to find. I've told him that you will help him after I depart, Lizard. So mark me well.
Whatever you say.
Do you think Isara chose sides in the Civil War, and that is why she has disappeared?
Your family's always been partisan, lad, since your early days in Sentinel. I ventured she still held her old allegiances, even if you haven't. Few crowns in Stros survived the battle with the Imperials, but I know Isara was one of them.
How?
Hearing of the defeat of the crowns caused me much concern. When I arrived, I searched for word of Isara's safety. The only ones here who knew of her said that she had disappeared shortly after the Imperials landed.
I see the harbor is already arrayed in the flags of the Emperor, and that his men walk the streets as if born to them.
Stros is a dangerous port these days. There's an empire to be built, you know, and Tiber Septim shows no sign of slowing its increase from here to the edge of the world map. High Rock's border kings bent knee to the Cyrodiil long ago. Even my father's fair Skyrim is adorned with flags of red dragons and foreign men. We are entering a new era, I fear, with Septim's name written long and wide upon it.
Any kind words for our new emperor?
He is good at what he does, and sees the holes lesser men leave wide. No offense to your Prince Ator, of course.
Hammerfell's problems are her own. I was only asking if Septim was the tyrant they say.
Of course he is. Tyranny means never having to say you're sorry. But Isara's fate has nothing to do with the Emperor, I'm sure. Look to the provisional governor if you suspect imperial entanglements. He's the real tyrant around here. How long were you in Wayrest, Cyrus?
Long enough to piss off the locals.
A bay ride from Sentinel. Close enough for you to hear about Prince Ator, then.
Yes, of late the criers are tripping over each other. There's so much to report of the blistery south.
And you've listened to it all, I'm sure.
Fine, recount all word of Prince Ator that I have shamefully ignored.
When his father died and the capital of Sentinel was taken over by the Forebears, the prince fled back here to his ancestral home of Stros. After rallying the crowns to his stead, he made for the throne again and had it near. That's when the Empire came. Through a Forebear truce which no one expected. Again, the prince was forced back to Stros, which he died defending. He will not long be forgotten. Lizard, another drink?
What were the terms of the Forebear truce?
Originally, the Empire was to lend its armies to the Forebear cause in return for a swath of holding titles along the southeast border. But when Baron Volag disappeared during the arse end of the war, all bets were off. A new treaty was formed, which garrisoned those imperial armies in the cities.
Until such a time as the native rulership can see fit to reinstate itself safely on its rightful throne.
Something like that, yes, sir. Septim's no Cyrodiil from what I've heard, though he rules their remnants and rebuilds their empire. He's something worse, or greater, depending on your disposition to the center, son.
If he has no blood tie to the Cyrodiil throne, then how did he make it his?
Come on! For the last 400 years, the petty kings of Cyrodiil have been squabbling over the title of Emperor, all claiming forebearance. Imperial throne's blood's thinner than a sea dream and half as wet. Tiber Septim took the throne as he took your people's.
Hail the new conqueror.
There's a good little subject.
You used to hire out to those petty kings, did you not?
20 years ago, maybe, when the whole heart of Tamriel was in chaos. I can admire Tiber Septim insofar that he has managed to consolidate the rags and tatters that bickered there then.
No empire is a good thing, Captain.
There's a Redguard for you.
So the Nord kings have submitted to Tiber Septim too.
They do not worry over much. They have outlasted empires before, and this conquest will be no different. Hammerfell has been the bloodiest invasion of current record, and by comparison, Skyrim's occupation seemed like a ballet.
Do you know if Isara fought in the Battle of Stros?
My investigations were limited, I'll admit. If she fought, I can't say. But I would guess that she did. The battle was the penultra of the crowns, and all who subscribed to the name no doubt took up arms. While most of them were slain at sea, others have been taken prisoner by the governor.
Tell me about the provisional governor, Captain.
When I arrived, his soldiers showed me the finer points of Richten's new docking tax and scoured my ship for leaguesmen. I must say he's a bit of an asshole. You'd better watch yourself around him.
So why aren't you in jail?
Meaning why aren't said soldiers in little boxes at the foot of the palace gate? Because I didn't come to port to get myself in trouble, but to get your sister out.
Should I look into seeing this governor then?
That's where I'd look, laddie.
Could she be in jail?
I haven't exactly knocked on the door to find out. That's your job now. But I know the jail's off limits to non-Imperials. Now, read no visitors whatsoever.
We'll see about that. Imperial expansion has been feared for years. Why wasn't Hammerfell better prepared?
Factional squabbles, divided councils, miscalculations. Crowns lost heart when they lost the capital. Forebears lost their heads completely when they welcomed the Empire's friendship and aid.
So the Empire played the forebears pretty well, eh?
What else is a visionary with an open invitation to do? The forebears are having futile second thoughts now, no doubt. Probably why they're so bitter and driven to bar brawls.
What of the crowns?
Not too many left around here. The few that are don't admit it to just anyone. Talk to Siona, a friend of mine. You may have seen her down by the docks. Tell her I sent you, so she'll know you're no Imperial stoolie. She may be able to help you.
How have the forebears fared under Septim's rule?
The throne of Sentinel is kept warm by another Imperial governor. That should be indication enough.
How is the city of Sentinel? I never returned.
For long my men plied the Iliac, and Sentinel was along the run. That's how I came to know that Isara moved from there to here. I kept up with her for your sake. If even it were a dream to think anything would come of it. When Volag's purge ignited through the north, I went there seeking to help her. But she was already gone. Later, I learned she'd come to Stros.
What was Volag's purge?
When Thasad died, Baron Volag led the forebears into an uprising for control of the capital. All crowns were forced to leave Sentinel after that first massacre. Your sister was among those that followed the prince here to Stros to plan the counterattack. I swear, Cyrus, are you always such a lame brain when it comes to word of recent Hammerfell?
I've come to cultivate a certain indifference about the homeland.
And this is a good thing?
So his character is in question. Again.
She was your sister, Cyrus.
I was probably miles away.
A proximity often and on purpose, I'd suspect. Yeah, well, you're here now.
Facade II, so storied in song, it was unwise to invest the Republic on one man.
The food bears are over there, Cyrus, if you want the company to match the sentiment.
No, it's just... I mean, he was dying when I was still a young kid. We Redguards were only waiting for it to happen. My father kept his profession in one hand and a whetstone in the other. We knew that civil war would come. If Facade was so great, why didn't he do more in his life to protect the kingdom after his death?
Some things have to be left for the son.
The head of the forebears is a subject of the Empire now.
Or subject to the Empire's execution, from speak of it. He disappeared the day Stros was taken, and Sentinel lay in a similar state. Provisional governors rule both cities now.
I'll be back. If you're not here, thanks for everything. And good luck.
Just find your sister and get out of here. And send word through Strathra. Go on, you'll do fine.
What will it be, traveler?
Say, laddie.
Excuse me, owners only behind the bar. What will it be, traveler?
What's working, laddie?
Barkeep, well met. I'm Cyrus.
I know. I had Tobias made out a fool to believe you'd come.
Why?
I'm the one that smuggled his letter out for him. The Empire's been watching all shipments from this port. I figured our chances were slim.
Many thanks, then.
Welcome to the Dragon Tail, by the way, thesis-bound subsistence of mine, where there is good ear and ale co-equal. What can I do for you?
A drink might be nice. I'll use your ears later, maybe.
Ever ready to listen, soft-skin? Let adventure thine be mine. I'll share what thoughts I can.
What can you tell me about Isara?
The Imperials came, and I let her out through the window. I haven't seen her since.
The occupation, it seems, is taking long to consolidate, with the League about and the Imperials still hunting for wayward crowns.
Hammerfell's the defiant line of the human race still. They say some still fight the Empire on the mainland.
Is thus the Empire delayed in further expansion?
The whole wild world, the elf kingdoms and the beastlands, waits to see what finally happens here in the last land of men. A word of advice. Beware the dragon tribe of the Emperor. The warrior king Tibir Septim does not tolerate rebellion. And Governor Rickton has promised summary execution to any who take arms to oppose his rule.
Wouldn't dream of it, unless he's responsible for my sister's disappearance.
Even if he were responsible, perhaps it would be wise to proceed cautiously.
Cautiously, eh? If only I knew how to do that. You said the Imperials came here looking for Isara the last night you saw her.
Not specifically for Isara. The Imperials had a list of dissidents they sought. Her name was there, with names of many other crowns. Since that time, I see only forebears here.
The forebears seem to enjoy your place.
The imperial liquor tax has forced me to serve everyone, even the city's ancestral villains.
Tell me about the crowns.
Their fire is gone since the prince was lost. Few show their faces in Stros. Some have passed to the mainland. Some few plot and scheme still, nursing fading dreams.
What do you think of the Restless League?
A human tribe of ill account, but whose single-mindedness is something I can fathom. Their raids upset my smuggling operations, and off thus my fair nature. Valenwood wine's hard to come by, you see, but over that, I have nothing worse to say.
You sympathize with the League, then?
Oh no, I merely noted their clannish drives, which any Argonian might admire. Being used, as we are, to honor the clan's interests about our own private affairs.
How then does an Argonian manage to leave his tribe to wander Tamriel?
You refer to me? I do not wander, Redguard. This is a settled study for me, from which I'll add to the wealth of wisdoms when I return to my clan.
I myself was a victim of these raids.
More obstacle, I'd suspect, than victim. The raids had ended, it seemed, but your mischance may be token of renewed troubles the sailors speak of. The League is marshalling anew its forces, or so the rumor goes.
Some second battle of Stros.
True, it sounds unlikely, but they are dagger lads, the Restless League, and they vow to make war again.
How have the denizens of Black Marsh resisted the Empire so long?
1,000 miles of swamp, bog, and stink aren't attractive to most humans. And terror of the Kanatan flu still holds most at bay. But our days of testing will come.
What's your subject of study?
The other, of course. Those ones not skinned in scale. We see that Septine's tribes will not be long satisfied with the thrones of men and the elder race. One day they will come to Black Marsh. Argonians have lost land once before, when we did not know our enemy.
I see, and what better place to learn the wants of men than at the bar?
There are other places, universities, the military, the magical guild, but I aim to chart man's geography of desire, which is most readily charted when he is drunk and blathering. Is this your first visit to Stros, Cyrus?
Aye, but the occupation makes it seem less so. With the imperial standards aloft at port, it seems like any other vassal town of Cyrodiil.
But for the unrest of like blood?
The only blood I care about is my sister's. As far as I'm concerned, new kingless Hammerfell has gone its way.
Your apathy is decidedly reptilian.
I don't know how to take that coming from you. What are you talking about?
This tavern, of course, both site and subsidy of my studies, as well as a fine storehouse of spirits.
I'd better keep moving. Can we talk later?
Anytime, anytime.
Excuse me.
Hey, looky, Dagu. A crown's come out of hiding.
That's so. Hey, Crown. Be good and bring us another round, eh?
I hear you crowns think you're real brave dagger lads. Want to test yourself against a real swordsman?
I'm sick of chit-chat, little Crown boy. Pull that blade out if you know how, or leave me alone.
Sorry to trouble you.